Hello everyone. Today I'd like to talk about Sukhothai. Sukhothai is one of the oldest, Thai kingdom established in middle part of the Thailand, current day Thailand, and Sukhothai. Maybe I'm not really good at drawing, but this is maybe shape of Thailand. Northern Thailand. Centered on Chiang Mai or Hariphunchai, Lamphun, and Nampang. Those are different. We usually call it as a Northern Thailand. The kingdom was later known as Lanna. When we are talking about Siam, ancient name of the Thailand, Northern Thailand slightly excluded. But if you go to Thailand, there is a mountainous area, in those areas. Just kind of a line in between Northern Thailand and the southern, middle and southern part of Thailand, there was a mountainous area. Just below the mountainous area, not that directly close to the river, the old Thai kingdom established there called Sukhothai. It is mainly because during the time when Thai become independent, they are under Khmer rules. Khmer Angkor Empire. Khmer Angkor rules. So it should be very far from the Siem Reap, current day, the place where we can see Angkor Wat. So the Bangkok or Ayutthaya, it's very close to Siem Reap. So not a good place to become independent. Sukhothai, very far. I have to say a countryside, a bit very far from the capital city of Khmer Empire. So it is, quite possible for them to try independent. So during the time when Sukhothai become independent, Ayutthaya or Bangkok, all under Khmer rule, something like that. So that is why Sukhothai, we believe, could be one of the first kingdom, become independent from Khmer rules. You can see here the map. Siem Reap is here. That's the capital city of Khmer Empire. Bangkok or Ayutthaya, very close, but Sukhothai quite different, had a quite distance, so that they can achieve independence. So that's around the 1300, I believe, around 1300, they starting to achieve their independence. But one of the best king, who governed the kingdom of Sukhothai, I have to say, is King Khamhaeng. He made the inscription in 1292. So 1200 could be the time when Sukhothai become independent. So the photo I show you here is King Khamhaeng, and in Thailand he was known as a founding father of Thai nation, something like that. Even though Sukhothai later, absorbed to the Ayutthaya and the southern kingdom of Thailand, but while the Khamhaeng become ruler in Sukhothai, Sukhothai dominate, the almost the all of Southeast Asia, I have to say. So with the King Khamhaeng, we can see how he embraced Southern Buddhism and what kind of a role Southern Buddhism did to the newcomers. Because Thai people, as I said to you, were not the indigenous people. They were originally living in the southern part of Yunnan in China. When Mongolian people coming down, they step by step moving, or Han people coming down, they step by step moving into the south. And one of them alive in Sukhothai, one of them alive in Ayutthaya, some of them alive in Shan, in Myanmar as well. They are not the original people living there, and they have to fight, to get, kind of their power. I read my handout. The King Khamhaeng left the inscription made in 1292 to make known of his legacy to Sukhothai into a leading country in the central region of Southeast Asia. The inscription was discovered by King Mongkut, the fourth king of Thailand, on his expedition to Shisachanalai and Sukhothai in 1833, when he was still a prince monk. This inscription describes in detail the royal family of King Khamhaeng, together with his capital Sukhothai, and the state of Buddhism there. Here, he is portrayed as an ideal Buddhist monarch, and Sukhothai during that time expand its territory, not just Southeast Asian peninsula. They expand to the southern part of Malay peninsula. So Nakhon Si Thammarat became under King Khamhaeng's rule. In the map, you can see Sukhothai was quite north, but during the region of King Sukhothai, they had their big, power point here in Nakhon Si Thammarat, and quite south of them. In Southeast Asia, Thai people hate the Burmese, and the Burmese hate the Thais. It's just like Koreans and Japanese in East Asia. Mainly because Burmese frequently attack Thailand. They sacked the city and so on. The Ayutthaya was actually sacked by Burmese army in 1760, something like that. It's one of the biggest historical event in Southeast Asia. So Thai Buddhists do not want to accept their Buddhism was imported through southern part of Myanmar and then Thailand. They don't like it. Just like Japanese, they don't want to admit that Japanese Buddhism arrived there through Korean peninsula. They always insist our Buddhism is directly, arrived from China. Or sometimes they believe the sea route from Southeast Asia directly to Japan. That also is possible. So Thai people doesn't like the idea that their Buddhism was actually came from lower part of the Myanmar. So they starting to say our Buddhism was not from southern part of Myanmar, but from Nakhon Si Thammarat in the middle part of Malay Peninsula. So during that time there are frequent trade activity from Sri Lanka to southern part of Myanmar, and just like that, the activity here as well. This Malay Peninsula, where the area become very narrow, people can easily across the land, and then they reach the Bay of Thai. From the Bay of Thai, they can easily going up to the Sukhothai or Bangkok on Ayutthaya with the boat, something like that. So Nakhon Si Thammarat become a kind of a trading post for people living in Chao Phraya River area to accept certain Buddhist tradition of Sri Lanka as well as Hindu culture of South India, coming into there. I'd like to show you some photos. When you go to Sukhothai, you can see this Hindu temple. Sukhothai at that time was the boundary line, countryside, quite far from the capital city of Khmer Empire. But even then, Khmer people built a Hindu temple here. You can see there are three prasat, the mountains, and each one symbolizing God Shiva, God Vishnu, and God Brahma. So I think the center one must be the God Shiva, and the western one could be Brahma, and east one could be Vishnu. And if you go there, I go there with my family. We saw some remains of Hindu culture together with the base of Shiva Linga. We have a stone pillar shape like this. At the top of this one, it becomes symbolizing what is it? God Shiva, the Shiva Linga everywhere. So those temple and Shiva Linga show Sukhothai was once, Khmer Hindu was under Khmer Hindu influence. When Thai people arrived there, together with the Mon people, they tried to build this area into a Buddhist area. They tried. So they starting to build the Buddhist temple next to Hindu temple in the grand scale done by King Khamhaeng. King Khamhaeng. He looks very nice. And near the statue of Khamhaeng in the center of Sukhothai archaeological site, we had portrait of the king who did for Thailand. So the king win the war against the other people. You can see the elephant fight, and also the king become a Buddhist monarch and made a Buddha statue and everything. And looking for the Shariraka of the Buddha and set up Buddhist temple and do the agriculture and everything. King Khamhaeng always be regarded as one of the best Buddhist king in the history of Thailand. And in this map, you can see eastern part of the city where people came in. There was a Buddhist temple, and the Buddhist temple usually had a moat, where the water, stored there. This is just like Angkor Wat, when there was no moat, water level is going up and down. When the water level going up and down, the basement of the temple become very weak and collapse. So the moat is very important. This is the original temple there, together with the Hindu temple next to it, and Khamhaeng, together with the king after him, they built a huge Buddhist monastery just next to Hindu temple, and this temple is called Wat Matat. And Sukhothai Wat Matat is one of my favorite temple in Thailand. You can see here distinctive Sukhothai style the Buddha and the huge stupa at the top of that. This is a lotus shape, and usually in that lotus shape they have a Shariraka of the Buddha, put them inside. So this is a typical Sukhothai structure. And also Sukhothai famous for their Buddha statue, because Sukhothai Buddha smiling, when the country was prosperous and people become very, very happy, the pace of the Buddha become very happy. This smiling Buddha actually means during the time of the Lang Khamhaeng, or before or after, people in Sukhothai are living peacefully without having any serious problem. That is why the Buddha smiling. We usually call it as a Thai smile. We usually said these are all Sukhothai Buddhas. Next one, this must be the vihara behind the stupa and the Buddha statue here. And this is a lotus shape, the top of the Wat Mata, and a very big Buddha at the middle of the Sukhothai. So Sukhothai, if you go there, it's very nice, and typical Sukhothai Buddha statue everywhere, with the fire at the top of his head. Look like a Sri Lankan style, very similar, but not exactly the same. And the Buddha was very, very glamorous, and his shape of the dress plate looks very close to the Sri Lankan style, I have to say. So where is our handout? So we believe the Buddhism there came from the Nakhon Thammarat, and it was insisted because of his own inscription, Lang Khamhaeng Inscription. This is a replica of a Lang Khamhaeng inscription at the Sukhothai. The original one was stored in the Thai National Museum in Bangkok. This shape of a stone pillar recorded, about the king and what he did and everything. This is a Thai script, and Thai script actually start during the time of the King Lang Khamhaeng, 13th century. So in Korea, we had around 14th century Korean script, Hangul, discovered, and Sukhothai a bit earlier, 100, also earlier, they had their own script to record their own, kingdom and everything. So this is a translation of the part of that inscription. I can read it, some part, some very important part. He talked about his own city. He said, in the middle of this town of Sukhothai, there is a temple, might be Wat Mata, with a golden statue of the Buddha. There is a statue 18 cubic in height. There are large statues of the Buddha, medium-sized statue of the Buddha. There are large temple and medium-sized temple. As you can see in Sukhothai, so many temples, so many Buddha statues. There are Buddhist monk of more than 5 years serving, and over 10 years serving. Among the later, those of special degree of knowledge. Monk under 5 years, we usually call them as samanera, not the fully ordained monk. After 10 years, that they are fully ordained, so they had a special knowledge, proper bhikkhu, I have to say. The west of this town of Sukhothai is the forest monastery. This is among the most important. Forest monastery, Mahavihara. Of Sri Lanka in Anuradhapura. You remember? Mahavihara were already mainly staying at Anuradhapura, based on Ruan Belishia stupa and the three Mahabodhi, the Bodhi tree brought there by Sanghamitra. But some of the monk in Mahavihara doesn't like to live in a city center, so they prefer living in the forest, and small branch of Mahavihara, step by step, semi-independent in the rural area of Dambulla, in the middle part of the Sri Lanka. They call themselves Aranyika. Aranyika, Aranya means forest. Ika means belongs to. Monks who belongs to forest. So we usually call those monks in Sri Lanka as a forest monk. Forest monk. Forest monks, what they do in the forest? Meditation. And living according to the Vinaya. Anuradhapura, the city monk, what they do? Taking care of lay people, including royal family, something like that. So those are the forest monks. They call themselves Aranyikas. This Aranyika actually appear in the Khamhaeng Inscription, forest monastery. Built by Lord Khamhaeng for venerable chief of a Buddhist order, knowing the whole Tipitaka, more knowledgeable than any other monk in his domain. So it actually said he built a temple for Aranyikas, and they call it as Aranyika temple. Built for chief monk. Chief monk, just like a Sangaraja. The top monk in his domain. And this Sangaraja, chief monk, actually came from where? Nakhon Si Thammarat. Coming from the town of Si Thammarat. Town is Nakhon in Thailand. Si is Shri in Sanskrit, Thammarat. Nakhon Si Thammarat. In Thailand nowadays, this town was called the NST. They call it NST, the southern town. So here, in the middle of Malay Peninsula. Nowadays it belongs to Thailand. And you can see from Sri Lanka, people travel with the boat. They maybe stop at Krabi. Krabi is very nice beach area, or Phuket. And then they had the land route across the Malay Peninsula and arriving in Nakhon Si Thammarat. And they had another boat going up, usually to Phetchaburi here. It's a halfway point. And then with the Bay of Bengal, they enter into the river. And when enter into the river, when they going up, it's Nakhon Si Ayutthaya, the ancient Siamese capital. If they go up further, Nakhon Sawan, and then keep going up, Sukhothai. This is the domain of the king Khamhaeng. He actually controls all over there. In this forest monastery, there is a rectangular gathering hall, large and beautiful, and the 18 cubic statue of the Buddha in the standing position. The standing Buddha also there, according to this inscription. I'm not going to read after, but it actually clearly shows King Khamhaeng wants the Buddhism in his domain. What is it? Sri Lankan Buddhism. The King Khamhaeng, Sukhothai king. One Buddhism there, just Sri Lankan Buddhism. He won Sri Lankan Buddhism, and he Khamhaeng was basically a Thai, and Thais before they came down, they were in the north. They were living in the Nan Chau kingdom. Nan Chau kingdom very famous Mahayana Buddhist country or esoteric Buddhism, something like that. So when they coming down to the south, they accept southern Buddhism as a kind of a pure, original Buddhism. They accept it, and they identify themselves with this southern Buddhism against Hindu Mahayana culture and the Hindu, Saiva or Vaishnava culture, I think. So King Sukhothai clearly see he embraced southern Buddhism through Nakhon Si Thammarat, the southern town in the Malay Peninsula. Actually, I've been to Nakhon Si Thammarat, I think almost 10 years ago. When I go there, I saw many Buddhist stupa. Looks just like a Sri Lankan one, but the Buddha statue just like a Thai Buddha statue. So kind of a tradition mixed together there. Sri Lankan tradition and Thai tradition mixed together in Nakhon Si Thammarat. And nowadays, Nakhon Si Thammarat become very rich because huge amount of oil discovered just in front of the town of Nakhon Si Thammarat. So many business people, nowadays living there for Thai oil industry. Anyway, that's the Nakhon Si Thammarat. I will continue. Here, he is portrayed as ideal Buddhist monarch. Sukhothai during this time extended its territory to Nakhon Si Thammarat, through which he came into contact with Sri Lanka across Bay of Bengal. Through the effort of King Khamhaeng and his successors, Sukhothai Buddhism originally dominated by Dwaravati Buddhism as well as Khmer Hinduism, gradually changed into Sri Lankan Theravada Buddhism we can see nowadays. Khamhaeng Inscription does not mention Sri Lankan Theravada Buddhism directly. However, the description of Buddhism here is not much different from Thai Buddhism today. It also mentions Aranyika tradition of Nakhon Si Thammarat to the contact is Buddhism to Sri Lankan Theravada Buddhism. In particular, this inscription tells the story of Katina festival. Katina festival is the kind of a Buddhist festival after the Wasa or Buddhist retreat. Usually a royal family or rich people prepare Buddhist robe and offer it to the Buddhist monk Katina. And when Khamhaeng inscription talk about Katina, it's just the same, Thai people do nowadays. During the month-long festival that begins after the end of rainy season, all people in Sukhothai visit Buddhist temple and pay their homage. Hearing Buddhist discourse, Dharma talk, every full moon day, and telephone. Every full moon day, and the king usually go to Buddhist temple a lay follower, listening the Buddhist talk. The king actually try to be seen as ideal Buddhist king, Dhammaraja. He wanted to be a Dhammaraja. Contact with the Sri Lankan Buddhism through Nakhon Si Thammarat is described in the Khamhaeng inscription mentioned above. So Nakhon Si Thammarat, I forgot to mention Nakhon Si Thammarat. If I change it into Pali, Nagara become Nakhon, Si는 Shri, and Thammarat, Dhamma. Raz is Raja. So Raja, king, Dhamma, Buddhism. Buddhist king. Shri is holy. Nagara, city. So what's the meaning of Nakhon Si Thammarat? a holy city of Buddhist king. I think. So the name of the town already include Buddhism there. The name, just the name already include Buddhism. So this Nakhon Thammarat become very important middle point to transmit Sri Lankan Buddhism into Chao Phraya River area. So one by one, those Buddhism, enter into the Sukhothai. So according to the Sukhothai history book, the king next to Khamhaeng, not the Khamhaeng, the next to the Khamhaeng, maybe 13 in the middle of 1320 or 1330, something like that. He sent Buddhist monk to Sri Lanka through NST. To have reordained. Just like who is it? Dhamma of Law Myanmar did send a monk to Sri Lanka to have reordained under Sri Lankan tradition. So I think during the time of the King Khamhaeng or his predecessors, step by step, Sukhothai Buddhism became under the influence of Sri Lanka Theravada, and their ordination lineage following Mahinda, So in the Middle Kingdom, Sukhothai step by step observed, Sri Lankan tradition, and Sri Lankan Buddhism firmly established its root there. Unfortunately, 1450, around 1450, Sukhothai totally defeated by the new kingdom of Ayutthaya. The city destroyed by Ayutthayan army, and Sukhothai disappeared. But from 1250 to 1450, almost 200 years, Sukhothai become, how can I say, Buddhist kingdom. The kingdom built by Thai people coming from the north, and the Mon people living there. They together achieve independence from Khmer Hindu rule, and their kingdom observing Sri Lankan Buddhism, and Sri Lankan Buddhism become a kind of a means through which people with a different ethnicity became integrated there, and this area become very prominent and powerful. So this is about the story of Sukhothai when they receive Buddhism. So nowadays, if you go to Sukhothai, many Buddhist remains. We have a strange shape of the Buddha statue, Buddhist pagoda. We usually call it as a Mon style. We don't know exactly. And also, in Sukhothai area, distinctive Buddha statue starting to appear. Here is a standing Buddha, mentioned in Khamhaeng Inscription. But the Buddha was not just standing; he was actually walking, and his face mudra like this. This is the Abhaya mudra. Abhaya mudra. Do not fear. I will protect you. So the Buddha portrayed as some kind of savior to protect the people of kingdom of Sukhothai, and he was walking. So he was actually coming down to the human world from the Tushita heaven and show the Abhaya mudra. I'm coming down here. You people will be safe. Something like that. So if you go to Sukhothai, so many walking Buddhas, walking Buddhas. and so on. You can see there, and very nice to see a smiling Buddha and so on. So nowadays, Sukhothai become prime tourist destination, and I hope one day you all can visit there. And in Sukhothai, near the Sukhothai Shisachan line, you can also see, the Buddha sitting on the Nagaraja, called the Mucharinda Nagaraja, very famous Buddha statue also there. And also, if you go to Sukhothai, they are very proud of their chicken. They actually use, what is it? Curry powder, put on the chicken, and they do have a barbecue. This is among the best chicken I've ever had. If you go to Sukhothai, you can have an experience of excellent, chicken barbecue with the som tam, and the sticky rice. You can actually have it. So Sukhothai, among the first kingdom independent from the Khmer rule, become Sri Lankan Buddhist country for the first time among the Thai people, in the middle or southern part of Myanmar, and very prosperous. I stop here today, and maybe I will see you again soon. Thank you.